Alright, cool. I've downloaded it. We're good. Wait one second.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah, let's go.
We're good. Okay. Start time. Now, contention went to the moon. The 7022 rights humans haven't set foot on the moon in half a century, but Artemis is going to send them back to construct a base on the moon and jump it off point for in-depth exploration. Unfortunately, ambition exceeds funding. Clue 22 finds a national crisis people for ability to build a lunar module. Congress found with barely enough for R&D. The 2024 date for getting back on the moon is still to sometime in this decade. You can either talk or spend. India can kickstart efforts. Winning to 19 expend NASA seeks international partners to send astronauts to the moon. The eagerness of India to join Artemis will constitute a powerful argument for NASA to get funding to effect a crewed moon landing sooner rather than later. Smith 21 confirms that India would be an excellent part of the Accords. The world's largest democracy with an established space program. India would have legitimacy. European nation would. U.S. success will be a function of how broad a coalition it can assemble. Two impacts. First, aquaculture. Rebuttal 21 explains that aquaculture provides nutritious seafood. No innovative solution has been proposed for space due to the tragedy of low orbit science due to detriment nutrition to the moon. Producing protein for poultry and low gravity doesn't seem feasible. Fish require 20 times less energy and 3 times less oxygen. The Lunar Hatch program is investigating lunar aquaculture. Aquaculture check on land and space feed into each other. Development that allows space aquaculture to convert waste into food can be deployed on Earth to increase food availability while preserving biodiversity. Advanced aquaculture is key. As Geopolitical 19 rises, population grows, so does aquaculture's goal. Ag controls 70% of fresh water and half of Earth's surface. It accounts for 1/3 of emission with livestock contribute runoff and dead zones. Present practices can't scale to meet demand. Aquaculture can support needed changes and save species from extinction. Marine aquaculture complements land agriculture requires little land and water, resulting in few emissions, and provides ecosystem services, cleaning water, stabilizing shoreline, storing CO2. Second is helium 3. But all 22 finds a return to the moon is motivated by a desire to exploit resources. Of these, helium 3 represents the most ideal fuel. Extracted could facilitate breakthrough technology. This helium 3 is the holy grail. Waiting to 21 confirms that 1.1 million metric tons exist on the moon. 25 would power the U.S. for a year. A rover could scoop up helium 3 for export. Helium 3 would change the world. The great problem civilization faces is clean, affordable, reliable energies that don't harm the environment. Artemis project solved the energy crisis. Absent action inspection in 19 rights, by 2050, ice sheets vanish, road droughts go. The Amazon, the planet plunges into a feedback loop of ever hotter, deadly condition. Armed conflicts over resources, culminating new war, likely to be resulting in the civilization the human race has said one decade later from the left to mountain transition. Contention to is setting standards. Davenport 23 explains the space race of the 60s required military effort. The race today is the soft power endeavor together. Allies create rules for states. India is a pivotal part of Zubin 23 rise. The Artemis Accords aim to establish norms of space governance. China returned to the Accords forging ahead with the International Lunar Research Station report. Predicted China would overtake the U.S. with the dominant space power within the decade. India has a robust space program, not to mention immense significance in the Indo-Pacific. The biggest prize for the Accords. China acts as a signal to other nations built consent specifically. China 21 finds that Artemis agreements with allies increase pressure on the Chinese to join to be left out. India would pressure China the most, even if agreements fail to force China to join the challenge of the Chinese counter system. Victory is essential. Boulder 21 writes that as with the last space race finishing, second means losing the winner test of rules. While U.S. model would mirror the LAOA, Chinese model would put a disregard for democracy, making the world safe for authoritarianism. And Zubin 50 confirms the U.S. must seek space supremacy. In the 21st century, victory on land, sea, or air would go to the power to control space. Had the acts of World War II possessed reconnaissance satellites, it would have won. The defense of the free world takes upon this global stability to take Diamond 19 rights and authorities. The implosion of democracy led to World War I. Global precipice, the erosion continues to be reached to a point where democracy goes bankrupt, plunging the war to oppression, aggression not seen since World War II. Autocracy is an impact filter. 9/19 first famine, genocide, state collapse, civil war. The main threat to security all stem from authoritarianism. Whether from Russia, China to Iran, and North Korea, autocrats support terrorism, proliferate WMDs, or threaten neighbors. Contention 3 is the quadrilateral security dialogue. The Quad strategic partnership between Australia, India, Japan, and the US is eyeing the cosmos. But Artemis 21 writes that for the first time, the Quad has included space in this project to tackle orbital debris. India's innovative approach may augment efforts to Artemis all members who signatories save India. Without guidance, ad hoc crossing may lead to orbital congestion debris. India would do well to forge a consensus with countries that are private players. Artemis may just be the right format. Upadhyay 22 confirms if India opts to sign Artemis, it will open an important avenue for Quad cooperation. Signing has a precedent. Silverstein 22 explains a harmonized set of behaviors by all Quad members that would set a powerful example. The Accords can serve as a starting point, can grow its Quad space priorities, coalescing around expectations the strongest way to advance interest. The Quad is key. Panda 21 finds that the Quad is well positioned to remediate polluted orbits, remove the technology show promise, but breed mistrust hamstrung by political and new rules, even if only reached by the Quad, can set the table for consensus among major space actors like the EU and Five Eyes. And 1022 confirms that fragments as small as 10 centimeters could kill a satellite. Several bands of low Earth orbit are at risk of a runaway collision cascade. Junk collides, creating more debris. Debris will lose radars and telescopes. The best solutions for prevention regulation are still lacking. It's now or never. Route 22 writes that space economy growth rates are consistent with Kepler's syndrome occurring early as 2035. The impact is ozone. O'Donnell 18 explains as debris degrades and re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. A shockwave occurs in the upper layer of the ozone. This stress can be damaging. Objects produce nitric oxide, destructive to the ozone layer. Chemical residue can also react with and deplete it. Erosion of the ozone layer may cause global climate change. Altered weather patterns could transform farmland into desert and threaten human life on the planet.
Alright, go for the duck.
Oh yeah, dog.
And can you just drop it in the space drop?
Yeah.
I'm gonna like get it. I forgot to do that. Oh, where's it? 7 months. Yeah. Yeah, no, never mind. I was gonna say something. doc's just called Yummy.
Huh?
The doc sound.
Alright, cool.
Oh wait, never mind. There isn't.
Right there. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Should begin.
just for you alone.
I'm opening Yummy right
It's called Yummy.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I should have named it Divested back. My bad.
now. Alright, cool.
Okay, it's still opening.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, there we go.
Alright, cool.
Alright. If everybody's not ready, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, let me. Time starts now. We negate conditional disaster. The Northern Space Findings is another we went through space technology, breaking down the final barriers to explaining offline resources. Unfortunately, the Accords derail African parts of a capital outflow. 121 rights. Being one of the Accords would lead to a flow of capital into India. Moreover, Africa's leverage in space would be diminished if India joined. 23 rights. The Accords like the clear mechanism to distribute territories and to do with heavy reliance on mineral extraction. Africa must adapt to mining advantage. Only 19 finds. Once African mining materials, it will severely affect the market of the price of minerals. Through undermining investments in infrastructure projects, the UN finds economic rights down to temporary progress and sustainable developmental goals, especially poverty eradication. Contention to with Pakistan. Currently, according to 23 rights, Pakistan has expressed willingness to engage with India in the interest of de-escalating 10 sides at a time, since they're facing an array of crises at home. Indeed, gross from 22 rights, by little has been on the amendment, even when faced with new challenges. Unfortunately, affirming just upsets the peace. India's only late-stage BMDS entrance 16 rights, ballistic missile follow a three-phase trajectory: boost phase, exo-atmospheric phase, and endo-atmospheric phase. Open Yaya 22 continues. Joining Artemis could also benefit India in terms of gaining access to critical space technology. Artemis can basically wait for technological transfer. That gives boost BMD Decibel 1707 rights. Assistance to India in satellite technologies is the automated deployment of structures in space would increase the abilities to destroy an adversary's missiles at pre-launch or boost phase. Boost phase is the Holy Grail, as Gleason 1922 writes. Boost phase defenses belong to consider the Holy Grail BMD. Boosting missiles are much lower and easier to track, which makes them more vulnerable. Then 11 writes, the deployment of missile defenses created false sense among leadership of India and can invite the military advantages or even a preemptive strike against Pakistan. Accidental nuclear war would increase. Hybrid 17 continues. U.S. action with India would escalate the security military after the region's starting tensions and running regional cooperations. Pakistan would present technological support to India. This kills mediation. PDI 23 writes regarding the U.S. Pakistan has maintained that we would welcome the international community to play a role in facilitating dialogue in a world without U.S. mediation. World would be imminent. Biberman 21 concludes tension and nuclear war between India and Pakistan would be devastating. Crucially, Operative 20 writes, and in exchange of nuclear strikes, everything created by human civilization would be destroyed. Connection 3 is economic development. Currently, Sayana 22 writes, India's space policy has traditionally been programs that achieve developmental goals and social and economic benefits. However, the Artemis Accords changes is delayed. 21 writes, NASA and Artemis have huge costs involved. The main reason why states are keen to collaborate. While 20 collaborates, the Accords are a strategic effort to redirect international space cooperation in favor of short-term U.S. commercial interests with little regard for the risk involved. When India goes big, returns small. Sayana further, India's pursuit of moon and Mars missions created cloud and perceived rather than real benefits. Spaceflight missions have been much influenced with funds from necessity. Reversing India's focus on socio-economic results would be devastating. Sasha Deva 23 writes, India's been able to pull more than 400 million people out of poverty between 06 and 21 through schemes that have broadened access to basic services and aid widespread sustainable development. Indian development is impactful. Boon 10 writes, economically dynamic, India has a huge counter instability conflict. India failing economically would have global damage to the economy, huge humanitarian crisis, extremism, and terror, and unchecked interstate conflict. Potential force international law. Very 20 writes, the U.S. led Accords intend to exploit the absence of clear international law. The Accords have been accepted by a broader contingent of nations who can make the U.S. the licensing nation for the world's space enterprises. Thankfully, Very writes, with disagreement likely, the Accords interpretation will unlikely beyond the universal standard in the near future. Unconsciously, India has pushed for multilateralism. Trauma 22 writes, India just the UN conventions has done a commando job in investigating principles in international space treaties. Moreover, Hera 22 writes, India's strategic ambiguity allows it to leverage outer space power to negotiate people to promote international space laws to prevent unilateral norm building. India's choice is a make or break for any framework. Kumar 23 warns, with new countries, global space is in a state of flux. India can divine the new normal with the leadership that holds an economic plan among space-faring countries. Globally, there are three impacts. The first is resource wars. Unilateral laws devastating. Diplomatic 22 writes, the Accords support the use of space resources on a first-come, first-served basis. States will means to get there first will gain the most. Urging space-faring states will not profit. Conflict will break out. Goes through 3 notes. The Accords establish safety zones where nations cannot interfere with other nations' resource extraction activities. The battle for territory could resemble conflicts in South China Sea and Ukraine. Mixed speculation could ensue. Dealer 18 writes, powder amounts could breed distrust, but resulting in power could prime for war. States with access to space would escalate build up weapons similar to stockpiling in the Cold War, increasing the threat of major war, economic destruction, and global insecurity. Second, skill and cooperation. Failing to create a multilateral consensus would be devastating. As Atkins 22 writes, the impacts could lead to disputes over outer space resources, undermining the economy's need to incentivize ongoing investment in outer space activities. Specifically, Hatchway explains, any framework addressing debris should be an international effort regulated by and leverage the private sector. Unfortunately, due to our economy's dependence on satellites, Black 20 writes, if debris knocks out a satellite, the slightest glitch in GPS satellites could shock the stock market and destabilize the global economy. Thus, simulation negates.
So there's no third impact.
Nah, no.
Yeah.
I got it. Did I send a third impact? No, right?
You just said there's 3 impacts.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. I don't care.
Alright, cool.
Are you ready to cross?
Yeah, sure.
Alright. Start the time. Yeah, you can first. Or actually, can I take the first question?
Yeah, go ahead.
But can you explain this BMD's scenario?
Yeah, so the argument on BMDs is right now India lacks boost phase BMD, like ballistic missile defense systems right now. If they join on the Artemis Accords, it specifically allows them to get technological sharing with partners like the U.S. that would give them BMD capabilities that specifically target the boost phase. And our internal link is the boost phase is the most key part of missile defense because it kills the missile before it's fast, which would scare the hell out of like
Do you have
Pakistan.
evidence saying the boost phase specifically is key?
Yeah. It says the boost phase is the holy grail because it literally
Holy
kills the
grail
missile.
of BM. Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
Yeah, you can have a question.
Sounds good. Let's talk about your argument on let's talk about your argument on setting standards, right? So you say that India would pressure China to join.
Well,
Wait,
even if they don't pressure China to join, they're still going to prevent Chinese dominance in the region from going unchecked due to
How?
their influence.
like what do they do to check back Chinese influence?
It's just a perceptual argument, right? When
But what's
India,
the perception? Who's perceiving that? China? Or?
that countries in the region and
So-
globally, they want to see that.
But how does
they
that
see
deter
that,
China
Chinese
from addressing?
authoritarian, the
Even
Chinese
if other
authoritarian
countries-
model through the International Winter Research Station is not gaining steam. The Artemis Accords are gaining steam. That
But-
is the
yeah,
alternative
but my
model.
question
That
is,
means that other
even
countries
if
will
other
perceive-
countries perceive that the Artemis Accords are marginally stronger, what does that do to counter China from just aggressing anyways? Because that doesn't
The
deter
argument is
China,
not
right?
that China aggresses. The argument is that they spread their authoritarian model abroad, and that is what causes their impact. It's not like military action.
Yeah, but would China still cease their attempts to
It's-
spread authoritarianism? Or
Well, even if they don't cease their attempts to spread authoritarianism, we say that India is able to counter those attempts to spread authoritarianism through signing the Artemis
So-
Accords. Can I have a question?
sure.
All right. Let's talk about the second impact on killing cooperation. Yeah, can you just explain how failing to create a consensus is going to kill satellites?
Yeah, sure. There's no actual consensus on how the things in space should be defined. There's no way to protect satellites or designate how to do it. That's why signing the accords and also making sure that the accords are strong with India would
Okay, you can have a question.
make it even worse. Just go through. Yeah. Let's talk about your argument again on authoritarianism, right? So do countries pick whether or not they want to be authoritarian or democratic based on space cooperation?
Our argument is yes.
Okay, I mean that's fine. Do you have a question?
Okay. Let's go. Yeah, let's talk about your third contention.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, let's talk about your third contention. So, why specifically do the Artemis Accords any different than the status quo, where India is developing a lot economically and things like that?
Well, yeah, India's developing economically, but we say when you join the accords just siphon a ton of money away from spending on necessities. For example, welfare, fixing the roads. That's what our evidence cites.
So
It's that every time India spends on space, they lose money on strategic necessities, and the evidence also mentions that India's roads
Has
are
that
failing.
ever
because
happened in
of
the past? Like you
Yeah,
said,
it says they
loses money.
siphon money away from strategic necessities. That has happened.
Okay.
If you join the accords, I mean, I'm pretty sure your argument also relies on India contributing to the accords. That's
Alright, cool. We'll take some crap.
Oh, just space money?
Yeah, no, second half.
Yeah, I was like, okay, it was just about like cooperation on like space debris. It was cooperation.
Okay.
That was a minute.
Yeah. Precisely. Alright, let me make sure this is a drop. And,
Is it gonna be fast so long?
I don't think so.
That's what I like to hear.
I think it should be pretty normal.
Should I just do it?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Oh, I was so confused. I just kept smiling.
I know. Oh, wait, the dot's doing the wrong thing. Sorry.
It's all good.
Okay, that was a bit of a pain, but it's been uploaded.
Okay. I download it. I'll tell you when I'm ready.
Yeah, right, we got it.
Yeah, cool.
Alright, just confirming, is every judge ready?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. On Africa 1, legal uncertainty prevents mining the status quo. Deregulation through Artemis is key, and India is key to Artemis Parsi 2. Builder 09. Characterizing lunar resources, the heritage of mankind, and maintaining an international regime will create uncertainty for private enterprise as to prevent any meaningful exploitation of resources, essential given risks and uncertainty involved. Prefer over the winger, evidence doesn't reference status quo trends in investment. If mining were inevitable, we'd have seen concrete examples of what's happening right now proves our uniqueness. There's billions of prospective investment, nothing specific. Commercial mining stalls, extinction with scarcity, climate, terror, war, and disease. For private buying is key. Pelton 17. Overpopulated cities will be vulnerable to terrorist disaster, running out of water, climate change. All humanity's at risk. New tech can bring wealth to Earth. Bold leaders such as Branson, Bezos, and Bigelow have billions. Each is launching space industries. Asteroids, rare metals have value. Helium to provide clean energy. There's more water in space than in oceans. Lack of food, healthcare, and systemic war are the alternatives within the next few decades. 2. India's already receiving private investment. Means diversion is inevitable. Cost 21. Recent space sector reforms point India to become a potent market for satellite applications for the country, which attract billions of dollars as FDI. Investors all over the world are looking at India as an investment opportunity within the space segment. Because Africa doesn't have comparative space advantage over India, regardless of the Accords, lower population and less experience with the space sector. 3. There's no devaluation of mineral commodities, space mining. Youngberg 19. Confusion, rest, and reverse causation. Lower commodity prices cause recessions, no more than umbrella cause rain. Harvesting would be a boon, not a bust. Aluminum gets a hint for most of the stuff soda cans. More precious than gold, making aluminum cheap didn't cause economic collapse. It made society wealthier by creating new opportunities. On Pakistan 1. India's buying BMDs from Russia for Han 3-1. India's on a contract to fire 5 squadrons of air defense missiles from Russia to deal with Pakistan. 2. Pakistan doesn't care. We have the most specific ad code Kawaii team. Pakistan remain unfazed. It has adequate response options to disallow disturbance. Pakistan would not follow India in developing systems against ballistic missiles because it found little value. Hype was wrong. 3. India's BMDs won't pursue them. By D22. India tests a new interceptor missile BMD system which is designed to destroy missiles from both inside and outside the atmosphere. The government has so far restrained from development due to strategic calculations that made for Pakistan. 4. Actually cut the 4th response. 5th, our link is that the U.S. began mediate, but mediation inevitably fails. Davis 22. By focusing on Ukraine, Washington doesn't seem able to multitask and build an effective relationship with New Delhi. 6. America isn't interested. We post-date PTI. 310. State Department spokesperson Ned Price refused any mediating role for the U.S. in talks between India and Pakistan. 7. U.S. mediation fails historically. Angola 19. India's bureaucracy extremely resists the policy shifts. It's likely to advise Modi against caving to the U.S. given India's current policy preventing concessions for 5 decades. On the austerity argument, 1. Aspirational projects pave the way for beneficial ones. PBS 14. Technology from the Mars mission will help improve the satellites India has helped launch, will directly benefit citizens in side ways. OECD 20. Space activities have spillovers in many segments of the economy. Tech transfers in diverse products, medical imagery, water, and air purifying systems in the U.S. alone. GBS generated benefits worth 1.4 trillion. 2. It's just not a lot of money. PBS 14. The entire Indian space program accounts for 1/3 of 1% of the nation's budget. Those numbers make it easy to justify competing. The impact evidence is also horrible. There's no explanation of why India is specifically key or no specific internal link scenario as to what extinction it prevents. They need to develop it more. On the consensus international law argument, first, India fencing fails. Lately 21. The Artemis Accords and China Russia lunar research studies clearly indicate the U.S. and China are interested in space hegemony. Criticizing such attempts by sitting on the fence will not help. It's the duty of independent states to turn the game. 2. Progress test states taking sides. Mahan 17. India moving toward a more practical approach to space, including activity on the moon and exploration of resources, will demand more intensive cooperation with like-minded countries. 3. The Accords are flexible and adapt to ILA. Deployment 21. The Accords are instrument of space governments. They don't aim at introducing any new principle in international space shuttle. The Accords provide a blueprint for governments. Further, they encourage and even facilitate the implementation of the OSD. The Accords position themselves as a starting point for the discussion. Breaking the impasse appears necessary. The advanced international law without revolutionizing it. The alternative also fails. 1022. The UN process has shortcomings despite decades since adoption of the OSD. There's little clarity on the nature of possessory rights and outer space. While almost all states are involved in negotiation process for critical issues and less time-consuming, the Artemis Accords have an advantage being less time-consuming. Also, the more signatories there are, the less it violates ILA, and the less there are unclear standards as they talk about. Howell 22. Artemis is still young. Signatories will advance broader goals through established bodies such as the United Nations. The Accords strengthen common values for space among the international community. Specifically, Mohan 21 writes, the Artemis Accords would nudge Delhi to initiate a comprehensive review of India's interests and develop strategies to strengthen the essence of the Outer Space Treaty. On the space mining impact, first, wars over resource inevitable. It's merely a question of where they do them. We would argue that having them in space wars, a lot more asteroids and a lot more space in general is probably more important. 2, there's no reason that space wars go nuclear. There's no contextualization of internal link to extinction. On the debris argument, 1, they don't read uniqueness. Debris is being solved right now, so cooperation should have solved the impact. 2, the impact is about mining. What does that have to do with debris? They don't read a specific ILOS standard. Really quickly, I'll go back to the argument on Indo-Pac. Indo-Pac war doesn't go nuclear. Ganguli 19. History suggests optimism. The Carver War concluded with no threat of nuclear escalation. In 01 and 02, tensions spiked but dissipated. Nuclear states have clashed without using nuclear weapons.
Send doc without the stuff here.
Yeah. Or just you want like a doc with like the stuff that wasn't right cut out, right?
Yeah. What you cut out.
Yeah, cool.
We're like 3 seconds ago in between starting.
Alright, that's 6 seconds.
Yes.
I'll take. Yeah, no, just take prep.
Okay, should be the Rebuttal Anderson 1 file.
Oh yeah.
Says it's uploaded.
Oh yeah, I just got it. Is everything cut out?
Yeah, everything should be cut out.
Okay, cool. I'll prep.
Sorry. Yeah.
What's that?
1 minute 12
Minutes.
plus 6 days.
Oh, it's like 90%. Okay, actually.
It's just, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we'll update it after.
Is there gonna be stuff not in the doc?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably analytics.
That's fine. We can of course slow down for those.
Nah. No, they're gonna happen.
Alright, let me know when it's done.
Like the name?
Oh shoot, it's already in. Nice. Fair enough.
Is everyone ready? Everybody. It's all direct. As a drop on a C1, they read that it prevents expiration. 1, we can turn the term because even if it prevents expiration, we tell you that it increases space debris. This is because when you increase mining, it increases space debris. This is because when you're mining, you're creating moon dust. This is really problematic because if 1 link turns their argument on their C4 because if there's more space debris, then there's no way the quad can ever solve in the first place. But 2, they don't read an internal link into why it prevents expiration in the first place. But 3, all of their arguments are talking about helium-3. If we win that helium-3 on their case, on the impact level on their case, we're also winning the argument. On our C2 on Indo-Pac, group their first 3 responses. They aren't responsive to the case. They just tell you that they're buying BMDs. They don't read a warning as to why they're buying boost BMDs, which is our argument. Boost BMDs are a specific type of BMDs. We agree that India has 2 types of the 3 parts of the BMDs, but boost BMDs will uniquely shift that India will finally feel strong, and that's why they preemptively strike. All of their war warrants don't go because even if they are going to war, our argument is a preemptive strike by India because they feel that they can finally be strong. None of their responses actually respond to the argument in the first place. On our C3 on economy, 1, they tell you that there's going to be Mars missions. 1, they've conceded that inequalities will always exist. It doesn't matter if tech transfers happen because it's only going to go to the consolidated elites. On ILO, law. One, they tell you, go to their second response. They've conceded our link on safety zones. What we tell you is that the uniquely Artemis Accords is worse than any single thing because Artemis Accords establish safety zones. Safety zones are really bad because it establishes diversionary wars because countries believe that they are like resource wars because countries have to believe that they can finally expand in territory, which is really bad because that creates massive amounts of conflict. Go to the responses. One, they tell you that there's no need to pick sides, but we tell you that it doesn't matter if sides are eventually going to be picked. Our argument is that the Artemis Accords will directly shift that India is going to do it. Then on their the alt is worse. They just tell you that the alt is worse because the UN policy fails. That's not a response to the argument. The argument isn't that the UN policy is good. It's that right now it's that the alternative is always going to be worse because it's always going to be solved. But secondly, they've considered our impact or our internal link evidence that it doesn't matter if the UN is bad because it's improving because India is always improving. Those are the only three responses to the safety zones argument in the first place. But then on the resource wars, they tell you resource wars are always non-unique. No, they've conceded the safety zones argument that safety zones are always going to preempt it. They say that there's no internal link into how it leads to extinction. Even if we win that war is going to happen, it's still going to kill hundreds of thousands of people on their case. At the top on Moon, one, all causes China. China is going to the moon right now. Bender 23 writes that Beijing has launched rovers to collect sample for the first time on the far side. The progress has been stunningly fast. China's set up communications between Earth and Moon, improving the ability to manufacture launch systems. They just unveiled a new lunar lander. As Jones 2227 writes that China's working on a staged descent to take 2 astronauts to the lunar surface by 2030. We have made breakthroughs in key technology. China's working on new generation launch vehicles. We will carry out preliminary studies on astronauts on the lunar surface and lunar resources. China has formally announced a plan to International Lunar Research Station on aquaculture. One, China does aquaculture well. Gold3 22 writes that subsidies aims to increase efficiency through China's aquaculture through genetics and cut the rest of the card. On the helium-3 model, China has the tech to bring helium-3 back already. Whittington 22, the most recent piece of evidence, writes that China has returned new minerals from the lunar surface. The mineral contains helium-3 that may scientists have touted fuel for the fusion. China is preparing a research base at the South Pole. This all turns every single one of their C2 and C3 arguments because China's already doing good stuff, and that means that democracy on net is bad. I'll get to that in their series. On C2, prefer our evidence over their diamond evidence. Does not cite authors. It's just a guy that says it. Their diamond evidence is a joke. One, there's no warrant. It's a series of unwarranted assertions. Their card is cussed like sushis, and they just asserts implosion of democracy lead to world war. The argument doesn't pass. Why the test and to backfill the argument later. But second piece of diamond evidence is somehow even worse. It cites famine, genocide, state collapse. There's no reason as to why these are unique to autocracy. 3 reasons why autocracy is good. 1, democratic peace is statistically disproven. A conflict-driven Shiva 21 writes that peace foster democracy make it look at variables exist even if it's not common to cause may be unresolved generating indigenous claims. Each remain poorly understood empirically, having taken out the equality indigeneity. Democracy does not have the pacifying effect. Finding shows democracy in countries are likely to attack than none. Second, the democracy promotes trigger revisionist linking due to fear of status denial. Lynch 19 writes that meddling aggravates concerns about violations of sovereignty. Results reason countries contest order that is exacerbates insecurities. The royal rulers more power than the team. On their C3, if we win any argument that China is good, then it also means that China is also going to fall back for any one of their arguments, which means that they have no offense. I'll cut that off.
Alright, thanks. Just updated version, por favor.
Deadly hot in here.
Were there analytics off done?
Oh, there's like 1 or 2.
Besides the diamond evidence is bad.
Could you like put a small indication of what they are? Like, don't write them out, but just like blah 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 analytic. Like, does that work?
Can do that. Oh my God.
Like, I appreciate this customer service.
Alright, cool. The analytics are just like the impact stuff I read on our case that cross applied to your case, and then also was like I'm just gonna say all that because I don't want to type it.
Yeah.
And then the second stuff that I read on it was the cross applications.
Pay attention.
It was the cross applications to like the cross applications I was making.
Yeah, you're like it turns C2 and C3.
Yeah,
They bring helium 3 back.
No, that's not that. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. That's the first thing. The second thing is on the analytics. I put the updated doc. Like it's just the Teichmann response that China's never gonna join because of like independent reasons.
Wait, where was that?
Actually, it's fine. You can just cut it. I don't even know what the response was.
Alright, fair
I
enough.
just sent everything. It's like so.
Alright, then you want prep or...
I'm just waiting to get the... Oh, wait, here we go. That one's done.
Alright, prep will continue now. I don't understand it. It doesn't sound fun, right? Like, whether she's a good actor or not, it's not necessarily matter that, like, yeah, it doesn't was minute 44 total.
Alright.
Alright, you good, Arnie?
I'm always good. Oh, are we sitting down?
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Okay, you're not like deadly alpha. It's all good though. Alright, you can have the first question.
Can't all be like you. Okay. Quickly on the democracy bad turns.
Yeah.
Can you explain the Lind evidence?
The second one?
Yeah.
The second one is basically that because democracy inherently means that the autocracy, it's like the root cause of autocracies is democracy because, or like the root cause that autocracies are bad is because of democracy, because democracy forces them to go to sovereign wars and a bunch of other things and commit massive atrocities and other things.
Okay, but does Lind say the word democracy?
I would
It
go
says
to,
meddling, aggravate, concern.
I mean, go to the card. Like, say,
Reason countries contest order is that it
it does say it.
exacerbate and okay. I'm just like
I mean, look at the card. Like it says it. Like
okay,
go to the
you
full
got a
card. Yeah, let's go to your argument. Actually, yeah. Let's go to your argument on C1 onto the moon, right?
Yep.
Let's go to explain the aquaculture stuff.
Okay, so basically, in order to like get food in space, you can't like bring cattle up. So if you want to like sustain a lunar development, you need to do aquaculture, and we say that creates innovations in aquaculture in space that can then proliferate down to Earth.
Why do we need to proliferate? What's the uniqueness?
Yeah, because the uniqueness is like that conventional agriculture is just not sustainable with the rate the population.
So like when will the
When will the
conventional?
world end? 7.5 years from now. You know, obviously no one can quantify.
Wait, which evidence says 7.5 years?
Nothing says 7.5 years. My mind, the best evidence there is. Okay, I should do. Wait, I have a question.
Alright, go for it.
Okay, so just confirming, did you kick anything or did you frontline everything? Like obviously.
I kicked the mediation links on Indo-Pak.
Okay,
I went for
mediation
I went
on
for the BMD stuff.
Okay.
On Africa, I responded to the turn. That's it, and nothing else.
Okay, so it's the
And
second link on the BMD link on Indo-Pak.
And then just
austerity,
and then the ILAW link.
and then the ILAW like space mining link on.
No,
consensus.
not the space mining. The safety zones link.
The safety. Wait, aren't safety zones about space mining? Okay.
No,
Well, whatever,
no. There's like two distinct links in that link.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're fine. All right,
Yeah,
so
it's kind of cheese, but it's all good.
all right, all right, you're gonna have a question.
Let's go to your argument on standards. Actually, let's go to your argument about exports on helium.
Yeah.
What is helium gonna do? Like, just what's like the internal link to the impact?
Basically, helium can be used in fusion reactors to generate near unlimited clean energy.
Do we have like fusion reactors already?
Huh?
Like the fusion reactors like capable to like sustain like helium? Like I don't know the science behind it. I'm just.
I think we might not now, but I think that bringing it back probably increases investment into that. Also, I think the whole point is that it's easier to do fusion with helium-3. Like that's the net benefit to it.
That makes sense. All right, you can have a question.
Okay. So just confirming on helium-3, the only answer to that scenario proper was it's inevitably because of China, right?
So China's doing it right now.
Yeah,
China
yeah,
did it
yeah.
already. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait. Did you read evidence that China's on the moon doing helium-3?
Look at that. Yeah, it's in the doc.
Which card is it? Well,
Second doc. Second card. Or on the helium. It's the only response on helium on the doc.
Whittington, right? China has tech to bring.
Okay, yeah, we're good. All right, we're taking a minute 44. We'll continue time now. Okay, I'm here. Did I know you have time? Like, does he Whittington actually say they're getting it right now?
It kind of does. It says that they would find a mineral.
It does.
Okay, in which case, in which case the terms. Do you have the stuff done?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have that?
Specifically, on BMDs.
Is firstly considered the evidence. I think it is that India has historically shown restraint. For example, they were actively in a war and did not.
Yeah, it's like the no new war,
Yeah.
and then like mediation. Oh, they didn't go for mediation.
No. Also, the sales from the sales that are inevitably the sales that are inevitably done to the status quo. There's no reason why there's no reason they have no reason to change these things.
I believe that's preparation.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. The order is going to be starting off on our case, and then going over to their case. Start the time. Now, on contention 1, we'll agree that China does agriculture well, and they have the tech to bring helium 3 back already. There's actually no, they don't give a reason why this specifically terms are contention 2 or contention 3. There's no reason why democracy is bad because of this. It's just a non-unique thing they're already doing it now. There's no reason the resolution links to this. Go to C2 on standards. Starting on their democracy terms. The first thing they say is that Diamond is a joke because it just asserts that no, it literally gives empirics about World War II. Also, Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. They're all doing those actions. It's literally not just rhetoric. It is unique to autocracy, which is what our evidence it says. They say that democratic peace theory is disproven. No, it isn't. The World War II empiric is again entirely conceded, and there is no impact specifically to these declines in peace. Then they see the root cause of autocracy being bad is democracy. It doesn't even, their evidence doesn't even say the word democracy. And if more countries are democratic instead of authoritarian, it just means that there's less wars broadly, which just turns that. Going to quad. They said that if they win, China is good. It means that China solves their offense. But how does it solve the quad? Whether China specifically is good or not does not mean that the quad is more likely to solve space debris. That doesn't make a lot of sense. At that point, extend the argument. The quad is well positioned to combat space debris, but they lack consensus and cooperation. India signing the Accords key to harmonizing the 4 quad members' behaviors, which that's a precedent followed by other major space actors, allowing the removal of debris through new technology, overcoming the current lack of political will. This is devastating because when space debris re-enters Earth's atmosphere, it's going to damage the ozone, increasing climate change, which is inevitably going to cause extinction through things like resource wars that go nuclear, rising temperatures, and natural disasters. All which they conceded cause extinction. Here's the way. First, it is try or die for the affirmative. They conceded that extinction is inevitable from climate change, which means that the only risk of solvency is through the quad, preventing space debris from causing our extinction scenario, which means that even if they win a 1%, even if we win a 1% risk of our scenario, it is still sufficient to affirm. Then they also don't access their extinction on their war scenario or democracy as per all of the impact defense I'm going to extend on their case, and their concession that their contention 4 doesn't link to war, which means that we are the only risk of extinction. It's an infinite impact. It kills everyone, which means it independently outweighs a magnitude. Also, climate change definitely turns case when countries are too focused on solving climate change. They can't focus on solving war, for example, and their economies decline because they're too focused on spending. Going to their case. Start off on Africa. They have conceded that diversion is inevitable because India is already receiving private investment, which takes out that argument. There's also no devaluation of mineral commodities to space mining, which takes out that. Going to Pakistan. They don't give a reason specifically why boost BMDs even matter. The sales are inevitably being done in the status quo, which means that the boost BMDs are not specifically key. That is their burden to extend that. Then they've also conceded that Pakistan does not even care regardless of the type of BMDs because there's value in developing a system against ballistic missiles. They have other response options, which means that boost BMDs do not matter. They also concede there's no nuclear war because tensions have spiked and dissipated in the past. They give the empirical the cargo war, which means it goes to go nuclear. Going to econ. They have conceded it's just not a ton of money, which literally just frames out all the responses. They've also conceded the impact evidence is horrible. What extinction does prevent? Why is India key? There's no reason why it caused extinction. They say it only goes to a consolidated elite. Who cares? The money is still going to go down. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Going to multilateralism. The first thing I'm going to be going for is the term that India strings the Outer Space Treaty. Even if they don't go for the OST link, it still turns case because it nudges them to review India's interest, which solves back for their impact. There is no response to this term whatsoever other than the fact that they're just not going for that link. It doesn't matter. Then they've also conceded the Accords are flexible and can adapt to international law, which takes out their argument. They also conceded there is no reason why resource wars specifically go nuclear. Why the resource wars that they talk about specifically go nuclear in space. There is literally no extinction. Also, it doesn't matter if safety zone preemptive, if wars over resources are inevitable, which is the uniqueness question that's also conceded.
Are we good?
Do you want to run, Pro?
We used a minute 19 before. We'll start running it right now.
My bad.
We have a little bit.
Yeah, we have 11 seconds left.
Do you want the evidence?
No, that'll be fine. The order of my speech is going to go on our case weighing their case. Anybody not ready? And whenever I address weighing, I'll probably also respond to their weighing that they did. All right. Time starts now. On Africa, we'll consider the Indian private sector is good right now for space. That also means that their space already doesn't matter. And so India's probably going to go there anyways and solve. Or if they go to space, it only creates more debris, which turns our argument. Then on Indo-Pak, this is where they lose the round. Their first response that is going to solve inevitably because boost missiles aren't key and that Pakistan doesn't care. But they've considered that their evidence for sales is the U.S. is selling them like atmospheric missiles, but it doesn't take it out on the boost phase. The boost phase is specifically key. They can see the internal link evidence. Whenever you take out a missile in boost phase, it's way slower, which means you can take it out much easier. And that emboldens India to go and attack because they know that Pakistan has no actual thing. They can take them out because they have ballistic missile defenses. They have missile people that even are fired. Then their second response is that Pakistan doesn't care about BMDs, but they've considered that it isn't Pakistan that attacks. It is India that first strikes. When India knows they can take out any actual response from Pakistan, they first strike because they feel that it's an existential threat that's completely conceded. Then they say there's no nuke war because tensions have gone on before. It's not about tensions either. It's not that India feels tensions with Pakistan. It is that they hate Pakistan so much when they know that Pakistan can do nothing to respond. They go to war. I thought the link is completely conceded. Our argument is that right now India and Pakistan are mediating, but whenever India acquires boost missiles because of the technological sharing of the Artemis Accords and gets it from the U.S., that allows them to take out missiles at the boost phase whenever they before they've gone hypersonic, and that means that India can never respond with any kind of missiles fired back. That emboldens India to first strike. We say that leads to regional conflict and also nuclear war that kills millions of people. That's all conceded. At that point, go to the weighing. The weighing is very, very simple. First of all, we're out on time frame. They can say that India's going to do first strike immediately. And once they get boost it takes out all their arguments. All their arguments rely on them going to space and removing debris, or going to space and colonizing. All of that happens after first strike. If the nuclear wars have prerequisite, because if we blow up all the countries, they can't go to space. Then also, we're out on time frame. They conceded themselves in crossfire. There's no fission right now, which means they literally cannot use helium-3. We're also out on time frame. Then go to the return of international law. There's no impact. Ben himself says there's no warrants why it goes nuclear, and also there's no impact on any internalization on the impact, which means it doesn't matter. They also say it's non-unique because the Artemis Accords are flexible and will always adapt, which means none of the return matters. At that point, go to their case. They also lose on their case so hard. First off, on their argument on C2 on setting standards, they just say that overall, they give examples in World War II as how democracy goes up. That's completely outdated. They consider our evidence post-state standard, and also they consider the first turn out democracy empirically has been proven to attack more. Why? Because democracy views autocracy as an existential threat that threatens their influence, which means democracy is always going to attack autocracies. That is completely conceded that democracy is the best internal link into conflict because it's the most probable. At that point, we're outweighing their case. Even if they win that democracy and hedge is good right now, they consider that absent that, there would be way less war because democracy in the first place is that cause war. That is completely considered as a probability weighting that also ends the round. But then, let's go to their argument on the Quad. They concede one, the non-unique from Arnav, that space debris is non-unique, even if they're trying to solve right now. Space debris is non-unique because when you go to space, you also create more debris in the first place, which means it's never going to be solved. Two, again, the Indian private sector also probably solves for this. But then, on their way. On their way, they say that climate change will decrease, will probably, whenever climate change increases, probably decrease the focus on war. What? Why? Like, obviously, our government, the military, isn't handling climate change in the U.S. That makes no sense. The government's going to prioritize different things at once. But then, they say try to climate change is inevitable. Sure, but we're also trying to so you can see that India's going to go to war immediately once they get BNDs. At that point, so, and analysis on time frame. We're obviously winning time frame. It's way easier to launch a new thing, go to space and colonize, do anything. They say extinction comes first, no extinction from war, but there's no warrant for that. Obviously, there's extinction from war for first strike.
Okay.
I'll just keep it there.
Alright.
Good for Grand Cross.
Yeah, good for Grand Cross. Start time now. Can I take the first question?
Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, let's, okay. Let's start on your argument let's start on your argument saying that space debris doesn't matter because, like, India is going to space anyways,
Yeah,
right?
the Indian space power sector is good.
It was
like
So even if like there's going to be inevitable space debris, if the Quad is able to solve back for that through new debris mitigation efforts, how does that take out our argument?
Again, one, going to space only increases the likelihood of small collisions and stuff that create more debris. Also, the fact that the Indian space power sector is probably good because if your own analysis is that space debris is like this existential issue for climate change, and probably a country that has an amazing space sector has an incentive to solve back for that. Can I get the question?
Wait.
Sure.
So you don't make that implication until like second summary, right? You don't make the implication.
That was the turn on the turn, and then I implicated it.
Arnold said very specifically, because we talk about space debris on like 4 different contentions in this round, right?
Yeah, like
he makes the implication very clearly that space debris is a non-unique issue.
Yeah.
Like all of that.
that was literally that was the first response that I applied. I by mistake said turn. It was
I'll take a question.
Yeah,
Let's talk
It's just because
about-
you didn't flow it right. Like let's.
Well, no, we did. We responded to it.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll take a question, right? Let's talk about this argument on the Quad cooperation. So where is the Quad right now in terms of being in space and solving debris?
Well,
it's not about debris collection, to be clear. It's about just setting norms for more responsible launches, which I think we can probably. I mean, like, I'll explain why I think that handles the time frame stuff in first final.
So
it's just like.
Wait, so it's
I think we're both on the same page.
But here. How do
It's too
norms
conceited
resolve
on that,
debris?
dude.
Yeah, it's like we both know
What's the internal link?
What's the internal? Yeah, so like setting an example for other countries to do more responsible launches.
Yeah, I know, but like, what does responsible launches do? Like,
What does responsible launches do? It means that it's less likely, for example, you know, like your booster might break off. You know, maybe this is less likely to happen. Maybe you build your satellites out of a composite that's less likely to degrade in space. Those examples or whatever don't need to be addressed proactively because you didn't read reasons why it wouldn't happen. Okay, yeah.
All right. Can I take a question?
Go. Yeah.
All right. So, So you make the argument that it's not about tensions; it's that they hate Pakistan, right? But if tensions have dissipated in the past, there has not been nuclear war. When there have been a lot of tensions between the two countries, regardless of whether or not India hates Pakistan, there's still tensions in the past. They still dissipated. How does that mean that there's?
Here's the difference. Even when your evidence found that tensions dissipated, India and Pakistan still hated each other. That's why our argument doesn't depend on tensions. Tensions can fluctuate either way, but you can see the analysis that India and Pakistan are opposite actors that view each other as existential risks. Which means, it doesn't matter about tensions. India doesn't need to be specifically pissed off at Pakistan that month for them to first strike their existential opponent whenever they have the ability to deter any second strike.
They should have done that already when they've been developing.
But they don't have
nuclear
stockpiles. Your evidence that you extend just says they can take missiles out in the atmosphere or out of the atmosphere, but that doesn't respond to the fact that there's still second strike capabilities from Pakistan.
Even then,
the only BMDs to solve are the ones that hit the missiles before they're ever even launched into hypersonic speed because they're still in launch phase. But that's fine.
Okay, cool. So the order will be, the order will be my case, then Wang, then their case. It's a surprisingly simple speech. All right, cool.
Wait, you said it's Af Wang?
Yeah, it's Af Wang Nag. It'll start off with democracy.
Okay.
They don't extend our link on setting standards, therefore both sides note there's no increase or decrease in global autocracy, the terms don't matter. On the debris argument extended, we say the Quad has a lot of respect from other multilateral space organizations. They could be the ones to set rules and norms for setting more responsible launches to prevent the mitigation of debris. However, we say that because India has not joined the Artemis Accords, the Quad cannot set that unified example. By allowing them to join the Quad, they set a coalesced set of behaviors that prevents countries from doing irresponsible launches. They have dropped that if we do not stop irresponsible launches, we will see Kessler syndrome very soon, which causes a bunch of debris to re-enter the atmosphere, destroy the ozone layer, Earth turns to Venus, and we all die horrible, hot, fiery deaths. There are two responses. First, they say that it's non-unique. There's absolutely zero explanation of why it's non-unique. This argument was explained in literally 2 seconds, and even if launches are inevitable, responsible launches occur in our world, which is how we solve back to their offense. Again, you should ask yourself, why is it non-unique? They say the private sector solves. How does the private sector solve? Once again, a 2-second extension. There's zero reason why India's private sector is able to do debris collection all their own, especially when we've read warrants why the Quad is uniquely key. On the Wang, first extend the try or die analysis. They've considered that extinction is inevitable in the status quo. They say they're try or die as well. That's not the way that try or die works. The whole point is that their burden as a negative is to defend the status quo, and if the status quo accepts the inevitability of extinction, which they've considered as the most important impact because it precludes the existence of future generations, that means you vote for us on any kind of risk of offense, which means their try or die argument doesn't matter, and they don't read any turns case rating specifically to us. With that in mind, I'll handle their time frame scenario. They say the time frame means it happens immediately. There's zero explanation of why it happens immediately. Why does India do the first strike immediately? Why don't they just build up their capabilities over time? In addition, there's no reason why it's more immediate than our scenario. There's also zero contextualization of why time frame matters. The only meta weighing in the round is that extinction is more important. At the end of the day, no one cares that the dinosaurs went extinct 35 or 35.1 million years ago, rather the fact they went extinct in the first place. Therefore, there's obviously no reason why time frame is a mitigator, and since their argument does not turn case, the fact that it comes first doesn't really mean anything at all. With that in mind, let's go to their argument. The first argument I'm going to go for is that Pakistan is able to intercept Indian BMD strikes. The evidence doesn't just say that Pakistan wouldn't strike India. It says the reason they are competent is because they're able to intercept strikes, which directly prevents nuclear war from happening. Second, you can extend the analysis that India just would not go to war. This argument isn't about tensions. It is about India just historically restraining themselves. They said they hate Pakistan. Why did they not attack during Kargil? This is enough mitigation to make try or die outweigh. Everyone here can believe that.
Weighing our case, their case. Weighing negative. It's gonna be for weighing.
Say more.
Weighing our case. The weighing in the last speech is conceded by Ethan. What he tells you that if nuclear wars are happening, and if wars are happening, then no countries are ever going to do responsible space launch in the first place because they can't adapt. All conceded analysis. This is why time frame matters in the first place. Because if we win the time frame scenario that nuclear war happens, it means that there's going to be no responsible space launches. This is the second piece of weighing Ethan reads. Cold conceded in the last speech. They say we don't read any case terms. It isn't case terms. They completely prereqs their argument because if there's a nuclear war that happens, it means that there's no safe space launches because countries are not investing into it. They say we have no explanation as to why our time frame argument happens. We tell you that when BMDs are created, it means that India finally believes that they can be emboldened. That's why the emboldened nationalist tension means they take preemptive strikes against China, against Pakistan because they believe they can finally go to war. They've also conceived that our argument also links into nuclear war because when nuclear extinction, because when nuclear war happens, then multiple countries come in, and it also causes extinction to happen because it causes a nuclear winter that kills hundreds of thousands and causes extinction. They give you 3 reasons why our time frame weighing doesn't happen. All of it is contextualized in the last speech, and the preemption scenario is conceded, which means that we don't even have to interact with the try or die because if we win the argument that our argument happens, it means that their argument doesn't even happen in the first place. On argument, extend our argument is basically conceded. Ilan tries to make 2 new implications in the last speech that are brand new. 1 and 2 do not have any weight in the round because it wasn't read in Ben's summary. 1, he tells you that our argument doesn't matter because it intercepts Pakistan. Where was this in the last speech? Do not let them read new responses in the next speech. Secondly, they read a new response that was over time, so you can't even evaluate it in the first place. Extend BMDs. What we tell you is that right now BMDs are not there, and Indo-Pak tensions are getting mediated right now. But when you vote affirmative, then it increases the boost capabilities because boost technologies are given. That's really problematic because when boost technologies are given, it emboldens India to do the first strike. All the other part of the extension was extended on the way. On their case, they have conceded the non-unique cold on quad. They just tell you that 1, their argument solves back because quote unquote they are doing safe launches. They've conceded that there's going to be static, there's going to be collisions in space which will cause debris to always happen in the first place because countries are always going to have the incentive to. All conceded analysis. They just say it's going to be safer. No reason as to why it's safer. We tell you asteroids are always going to cause the rocks to break, and that's also going to cause their argument to happen. Right, y'all. Can I go outside?